Right, so day one of your 5 day fasting challenge. So remember, we've got two sort of options here. We've got the beginners, people who have never done fasting before, done the fasting challenge before. We're doing the warrior diet, which is an 8 hour eating window, which means your eating window will start at 4 o'clock today, 4 until 8. You will break your fast at 3:30 with your 2 scoops of protein. During your eating window, we want to eat as much good, healthy, natural, non-processed foods as possible. My rule of thumb is if you can't kill it or pick it, you don't eat it. So that means everything should be natural, naturally sourced, good, wholesome food with lots of nutrients in it. The other option then is the people who have done this before, slightly more advanced, is your OMAD, 1 meal a day, which is a 2 hour eating window from 6 until 8. Now remember, the time is flexible, but we've got to have it consistent. So if you move everything forward 2 hours, you have to try and move everything 2 hours the whole week. So the fasting time always stays the same as the eating window. Does that make sense? Right, today I want to break down a wee bit about hydration. So we understand exactly what's happening, why it's important to stay hydrated. Obviously, when you fast, you have no food coming in, specifically carbohydrates. Now, you'll normally find it at about 80%, sometimes 90% of your normal everyday diet is carbohydrates. Now, what do carbohydrates do? Carbohydrates give you fuel. When we eat carbohydrates, I'll try and keep this as simple as possible, so bear with me. We eat carbohydrates, we digest them, we break them down into glucose or sugar. Blood glucose or blood sugar, you might have heard it either way. So we break it down into glucose. Glucose goes into your bloodstream. Glucose goes round your body to all your muscles, all the cells in the muscles, and they get absorbed into the cells and they store as glycogen. All right, quite complex process, but anyway, we store the carbohydrates in the muscle. All right, when we store glycogen in the muscle, we also store water. So 1 gram of glycogen or carbohydrates will hold about 3 to 4 grams of water. So when we're constantly eating carbohydrates, our muscle cells are constantly saturated or full of energy, carbohydrates, so they're also full of water. Now when we go over a period of time now when we're fasting where there's no carbohydrates coming in, that means that there's less energy stored in the muscle, because we're using the muscles all the time. We're using up that energy, but we're not replenishing it or replacing it. That means when we use the glycogen for energy, we release the water. The water leaves the muscle because there's no way for the water to stay in the muscle if there's less glycogen there. Does that make sense? Right, so we excrete the water. So when there's no energy coming into the muscle, because we're fasting, there's no water coming into the muscle. If there's no water in the muscle, the water is no longer hydrated. It's now dehydrated. Does that make sense? Okay, so your muscles are dehydrated because there's no way for the water to stay in the muscle if there's no carbohydrates or glycogen in the muscle, because the muscles are depleted. This is dehydration. Now you can drink as much water as you want at this time. You have no way to absorb that water into the muscle because there's no intermuscular glycogen holding on to the water. Again, I'm trying to really simplify this so you can get a good grasp on it. Does that make sense? So even though you're drinking copious amounts of water, literally all you're doing is just peeing all it out and dehydrating yourself even more. We need a way to retain the water or the fluid inside the muscle. When there's no carbohydrates available, the best way to do this is sodium or electrolytes. All right, sodium being salt. So if we put the grind of salt in the morning along with apple cider vinegar, or if you just take it with water, or you take your hydration formula which has sodium and electrolytes in it, they then go into the muscle and allow the muscles to retain the fluid, so the muscles now stay hydrated. Does that make sense? So if we're fasting, we're going a long period of time without food, or if we're doing keto because there's no carbohydrates coming in, the muscles are depleted of energy. If they're depleted of energy, carbohydrates, they're also depleted of fluid because there's no way for the fluid to stay in the muscle if there's no carbohydrates or glycogen. Does that make sense? It is a bit of a complex process, but we've got to get our head around that. So what are the signs of dehydration? Well, it's not just thirst. Hunger is a sign of dehydration, because remember, your body will release a hormone called ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, at the first sign of needing something. Hunger. It's not just hunger for substance and food, but hunger for nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and electrolytes. So if your body's starved of something, it will send out a hunger signal for you to consume stuff, all right, to eat. At this stage, you'll get this hunger pang about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and you're thinking, Jesus, I am starving. You're not. You're dehydrated. The way I want you to look at this, the way I perceive this, the way I think about this myself. Like I said in one of the videos at the start, the human body has evolved by going periods of time with no food. We actually thrive on it. We work really well on it. All our sort of stress coping mechanisms come to the surface, and we become bigger and better and stronger because we're going through the stress of the fast. In modern times, we don't do that anymore. We wake up, we eat. We go an hour, a wee bit maybe, we eat. Every couple of hours or half an hour, we eat. So we never get to experience this depletion. So we never really get to experience hunger. I mean proper hunger. I mean, there's people in the world who are fucking starving to death, who are hungry, who rummage through bins just to feed their families. That's hunger. So when I hear people doing the fasting challenge going, oh, I'm really starving, I'm about to die, I thought I was going to faint, you gotta say catch a grip. Right? You have never experienced hunger. You've experienced the hormone ghrelin, probably due to dehydration. All right, and again, then you think you're being fit and healthy. You're drinking more water, thinking it's hydrating you, when it's actually just dehydrating you even more. So you're not actually hungry when you're doing a fast. You might feel a hunger pang. It's just that ghrelin. It's just that hunger hormone, a hunger signal. Now headaches as well too. 90% of any headache you ever have was just dehydration. For example, a hangover. When you have a headache from a hangover because you're dehydrated. From personally, if I drank 1 pint of beer, I normally pee 3. So you're just dehydrated. That's what causes the headache. The tiredness, that 3 o'clock slump, it's usually dehydration. So if we keep ourselves saturated, if we keep the hydration coming in, even multiple times through the day, in fact, the longer the fast, I would say you hydrate yourself 2 to 3 times over the course of the day, rather than just in the morning. If we're doing the basic 16 and 8, morning hydration is enough. Once we go past that warrior diet, that's 4 hours, you would need 2 to 3, because again, you're peeing, you're moving, you're active, you're drinking water, you're dehydrating yourself. Does that make sense? So it's very important for any of this, for it to be successful, to do work, to make sure that we stay really well hydrated. All right, do that, everything should go well.